trample on the constitutional right of subnational governments. This is a threat to democracy. If we all keep quiet and allow this illegality, very soon, whatever is left of our democracy will be fully eroded. All I ask is for the EFC chairman to explain to the good people of Osun State and to the Nigerians in general why he froze Osun State government account and show proof to support whatever reason he presents. These and all other illegalities being visited on Osun State is turning our democracy into a huge joke.
And I want to put, yes, they've gone to First Bank as we speak to arrest the officials of the bank, the staff of the bank, the branch managers, the group L retails, as well as some of the operational staff. So they've handpicked them and they've taken them to the Osun State Police Command as we speak.
How many of them?
In numbers.
In numbers, then anybody can share that.
In numbers.
What is it?
No send it. What you don't want to send it.
Right, Lagos, welcome back. This is still Overt Radio Breakfast Show. We are broadcasting to you live from the city of Lagos. Lagos is a center of excellence, the city that never sleeps. Yeah, that's those two audios played. The first one was explaining what goes on in that account that was frozen by the EFCC. And the other audio was Adeleke, responding to the action taken by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, yesterday, why it froze the accounts, the first bank account belonging to Osun State government. So if you're listening to the conversation earlier, if you're listening to the review, the headline newspaper review I made earlier, that should give you a background of what I'm about to discuss this morning. But this morning, yes, I will dwell on the Osun bank account freeze. I will also talk about some of the lingering questions that the federal government is here to answer concerning its own accounted revenue spending. Okay, so this is the political update. So what I'll be talking about is Osun bank account freeze versus FG's unaccounted revenue spending. So yes, EFCC did put out a statement yesterday, explaining why it froze a bank account belonging to Osun State, and that bank account is being operated by First Bank of Nigeria. There have been many reactions. Adeleke has reacted. The NBA has reacted. The Attorney General of Osun State and the Commissioner for Justice has reacted. So there have been many reactions concerning what happened yesterday. At first, there was a report that stated that the EFCC has frozen the account of that was a report, but later on EFCC came out to confirm that yes, that it did freeze one of the accounts belonging to Osun State government. But let me take the statement word by word, sentence by sentence, and paragraph by paragraph what the EFCC said, why it froze the Osun State government account. Now, this was a press statement issued yesterday by the EFCC, and that statement titled that statement was themed why EFCC froze Osun State government account. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, is compelled to publicly address issues pertaining to its preventive moves in freezing the bank account of the Osun State government without prejudice to the imminent governorship election in the state. The commission has been busy investigating the Osun State government since March 2026 regarding alleged fraudulent handling of ecological funds, intervention funds, and federal account allocation committee FAAC account to the tune of 11 billion naira. To this end, some officials of the state government, especially the Accountant General of the Federation, have had interview sessions with investigators of the EFCC. The statement continued saying these ongoing investigations of the state government would not have warranted any placement of post no debit order on its account but for the precipitate and unwarranted movement of funds from the accounts to different suspicious accounts. Since August 2, 2026, the Commission noticed huge transfers of funds into different corporate entities and had to swiftly halt the trend by freezing the account from which such heavy funds are being moved. The EFCC's preventive mandate is a public inclined framework of safeguarding public funds, assets, and resources. The Commission cannot watch idly while a state government account is being pillaged. While the Commission is fully aware of the impending governorship election in Osun State, it has a responsibility to act in defense of the sanctity of the funds of the state. It will be uncharitable for the Commission to allow an excuse of an upcoming election to fold its arms to perform its legally assigned functions. According to the Commission, it is equally needful to state that the Commission is keeping watch over the finances of other states like Osun State. Many of these states are on the investigative radar of the Commission to ensure accountability and probity. The Commission has always pointed out that it is non-partisan and non-sectarian, but always working in overall interest of Nigerians. The Osun State government account was frozen to save public funds from being looted. The public is enjoined to ignore false narratives and deliberate demonization of the works of the EFCC. The interests of all Nigerians are greater and will always be protected by the Commission. Okay, now let me read another story in response to that account that was frozen by the EFCC. Now this is coming from the Nigerian Bar Association. The Nigerian Bar Association. Okay, let me read that particular. This president of the Nigerian Bar Association. The Nigerian Bar Association (NBA) has faulted the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over the reported freezing of Osun State, the official of Osun State government bank account, saying that anti-graft agencies lacks the constitutional power to impose a blanket restriction on a state finances without due legal process. The EFCC on Wednesday directed that no money be withdrawn from the Osun State government statutory allocation account as part of an ongoing investigation. According to the NBA president Afam Osigwe, in an interview with The Punch on Wednesday, he warned that any directive restricting withdrawals from accounts belonging to a state government would effectively cripple governance and account to an abuse of power. Let me look for his quote, not only for what he actually said. Now, he said, and I quote, "No government agency or any persons has the right or the power to restrict withdrawals from the account of any state because, first of all, the order has the effect of grounding the activities of a government. If the EFCC knows that any particular account is being used for the purpose of fraud, it may be able to obtain a court order, but it cannot make a blanket order freezing the accounts of any state." The senior advocate added, "Such an order would be unconstitutional and also violate the powers of the EFCC and may actually amount to an abuse of power. We should not have such a situation. All right, now this is from the position of the law, the legal aspect of it, the legal aspect of it, and this is from a senior advocate of Nigeria. And I'm not sure, I doubt if a senior advocate of Nigeria will misinterpret what the constitution says. Okay, what the EFCC should have done first is to go to court and obtain an order, okay, before directing First Bank to place a no debit post no debit order on that Osun State bank account, because number one, the activities of governance of government will be crippled. Now, my major concern is the payment of worker salary. Okay, the payment of worker salary. Yes, an infringement has been made. Yes, the EFCC has discovered some fraudulent financial transactions on that said account. Perfect, but going to the extent of disobeying the law, of course. While the EFCC is trying to do its regulatory activities, they are also disobeying the law. Okay, so this is what the NBA president said, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, that the EFCC do not have the right to first of all headed to the bank, giving an order to the bank to have place a post no debit order on that particular account without obtaining a court order. Okay, without obtaining a court order. So yes, while you are being audacious, while you are carrying out your duty, let us ensure that every move, every actions are guided by the law. Every actions are guided by the Constitution. There is nobody that says that you should not carry out your investigation or you should not carry out your regulatory duties or activities. But make sure that once you are doing it within the ambit of the law. Okay, within the ambit of the law. Now, and also another thing again that I would like to say concerning this account, the actions by from the EFCC. One thing is that, what about, okay, now you have discovered that there have been some fraudulent moves in that account. What about the recipient? Who were the recipient of such monies? If the EFCC has claimed that the state government is paying suspected entities, why the EFCC should have been able to disclose those entities, those individuals, those companies, that Osun State is giving money in a fraudulent way. Okay, the EFCC accused the Osun State government of let me go back to that particular statement again. Now, this ongoing investigation of the state government would not have warranted any placement of post no debit order on his account, but for the precipitate and unwarranted movement of funds from the accounts to different suspicious accounts since August 2. This was just on Sunday, I guess, or Sunday, on the 2nd of August, on Sunday. The commission noticed huge transfers of funds into different corporate entities and had to swiftly halt. Now, who were those corporate entities? Were they government contractors? Those corporate entities, were they entities that the state government contracted to carry out some projects within the states? So these are the questions that need to be answered. And also the workers of Osun State, because according to the the report, this account pays workers' salary. This account is being used to pay workers' salaries. Okay, now that first video I played, whereby a particular account has that particular account houses over 926 or 900 and something salaries, worker salaries to be paid. So what will now happen to those workers who are receiving salaries on a monthly basis from Osun State? Will they wait? How long will the account frozen? How long will it take place? How long will it take place? Are they permanently freezing that account, or that account will be frozen for a particular period of time? Okay, for a particular period of time. So these are the questions that the EFCC needs to come out and explain to Nigerians. We are not saying that you should not carry out your duties, but what we are saying that it should be done within the ambit of the law. It should be done within the ambit of the law. So we want to know the outcome. Like they say, investigation is still ongoing. So how can you make a move? How can you take an action without completing your investigation? What is the level of your investigation? How far have you gone? Have you found any evidence? Yes, you have discovered that that the funds, that the commission noticed that huge funds transfer of funds into different corporate entities, and how to swiftly halt the trend. So what if that particular corporate entity was a contractor, and maybe a certain amount of project has been executed by the contractor, and the state government needs to pay these particular contractors, or whoever they may be. So that is that for that particular segment. Now I move to the other parts of this discussion. Remember a few weeks ago, a particular senator, let me bring out his name, a particular senator, I think it's from a particular senator, let me get his name, Mr. Mohammed Tahir Mungono, who represented Borno North Senatorial, who is representing Borno North Senatorial District, when he's part of a Senate committee, trying to unravel the unaccounted revenue spending, by the federal government. Now, if the EFCC, this is the crux of the matter this morning. My question is that if the EFCC, has discovered some huge funds transfer in a state government bank accounts, why can't the EFCC carry out investigation in the federal government account? Because the senator asked a very germane question. Where are these monies? Now, let me read out the conversation, what he actually said. Now, after the Honorable Minister had answered, the questions that was asked, that was directed to him by, the senators who are grilling the minister concerning the unaccounted revenues spending. Now, this is what the senator said. Honorable Minister, I have listened carefully to your brief and the very beautiful figures that you have ruled out. Where are these revenues going to? Was it not this same administration, I think early this year, that we saw, videos, emanated, we saw videos on social media where we found out that, cars were being inaugurated, cars were being donated, the APC had hundreds of cars, commissioned hundreds of cars for the 2027 general elections. Now, who are the sponsors? Who are the financiers? Where did the APC get that kind of money to purchase such luxury cars? I saw again another video online, I think last weekend, where a branded phone, that phone was branded with the APC, and these phones were distributed to members of people who are supporting the party. And a lot of Nigerians were asking questions that who are the sponsors of this campaign? Where is the APC getting this kind of money from? Now, I according to the senator, he said that if, for example, the 2025 budget has not been implemented and we have to roll over 70% of the 2025 budget to 2026, and we promise that 30% will be implemented before March, up to March, and even 30% was not implemented, the National Assembly had to extend the lifespan of the budget to September to allow the government to implement just the 30% component of the 2025 budget. The issue of the 2026 budget has not even arisen. It has not even started. So don't you think this is contradictory? Why are these revenues why are these revenues going to the extent that the budget is not being implemented? Yes, the federal government did make claims that in 2025 it exceeded its revenue target, and you exceeded your revenue target, and most of the monies budgeted for specific ministries, department of agencies, most of the budget figures allotted to them has not been realized yet. So the question is that if the EFCC discovered some fraudulent transfers of Osun State bank account, why can't the EFCC investigate the federal government, the federal government bank account? Why can't the EFCC carry out an investigation? Because there have been an allegation that monies that budget ministries and department of agencies, that the 2025 budget has not even gotten up to 70% implementation yet. So the senator is now asking questions that where are these monies going? Now, he said, for example, the security of lives and property is a primary responsibility of government. All the security agencies we have interacted with have reported to us that they have received 0 allocations for capital expenditure, because they have been confirmed. There have been allegations in the media that maybe, who knows. So I don't want to say things that has not been confirmed yet. So where are these monies? The senator is asking. This is my question. Why is the budget not being implemented? Because it is a breach of the law and it is an impeachable offense. According to the senator, he said about 3.7 trillion was received last month, and only 2 trillion was disbursed to the 3 tiers of government. About 1.7 trillion was retained. Why was 1.7 trillion retained? Why not disburse the entire 3.7 trillion to the 3 tiers of government? This is my question. Thank you. So that is the question. So if the federal government is hoarding, or I don't know if I should use the word hoarding, if the federal government is keeping back some money and not using the budgeted money to carry out some key projects in the country, what the federal government, what are they using the money for? What are they using the money for? Because the EFCC has gone after Osun State government. So I believe, so my talk here, the crux of this matter this morning here is that if the EFCC is investigating Osun State, alleging that they have discovered some fraudulent transactions from that particular bank account to some entities, it is also fair for the EFCC to go after the bank account of these ministries and department of agencies. It is also fair that the EFCC should go and investigate the federal government bank accounts and ask questions that a particular money was budgeted for these particular ministries, and at the end of the day, when these ministries comes to defend their budget, when these ministries come to the Senate, to the National Assembly, to defend what was given to them and how much was given to them, it will be discovered that they have not been able to receive allocation for their ministry. And despite that, the federal government will be telling the world, will be telling Nigerians that it's a amount of money has been realized for the for revenue. And if you have realized, for example, if you have realized 5 billion, and at the end of the day, not the total money, of course, the federal government has the right to use its discretion to give, either to give the complete money, to share the complete figure that was realized, or not to share the complete figure that was realized. Okay, so the crux of the matter is the federal government has claimed that monies have been received as revenue, but this money are not getting to the respective ministries. These monies are not being used to address the immediate needs of Nigerians. These monies are not being used to provide shelter. These monies are not being used to address the immediate needs, particularly the health sector, the security, architecture of the country. All right. So these are the questions that need to be answered. These are the questions that need clarity. These are issues that needs clarity. The EFCC should not go only after Osun State, should not go only the Accord Party, should not go only, should not chase, Adeleke alone. There should be a level playing ground. That is what I'm trying to say here. There should be a level playing ground. There should be a level playing ground. And they have even also violated the constitution. They have violated the law by directing a bank to freeze the account of a state government without properly obtaining a court order. You are directing a bank to to freeze accounts of a particular, to freeze the bank account of a particular state government without even carefully, properly, and adequately obtaining a court order from the courts, which is a violation of the law. So let us do things in fairness. Let us do things according to the law. No matter how ambitious you are, no matter how ambitious we are, let us ensure that every of our actions, this is to the EFCC now, EFCC, every of your actions is being backed, by the law. It's being backed by the law. So Lagos, I'm sure I've done what I can do best to make sure that you have a better understanding of what is actually going on in Osun State. So we hope that in the coming days, because election is next week Saturday, Osun State governorship election is next week Saturday. So we hope that in the coming days, all this crisis will die down in the state, so that the state government can, so that there can be free, fair, credible elections in Osun State. All right, listeners, it is 47 minutes gone past the hour of 9 o'clock, and by 10 o'clock the news update will be read here by Bukola Olowolafe at 10 o'clock. This particular segment, the Overt Radio Breakfast Show, is being brought to you by Liveback Pharmacy and Stores Limited, marketers of Ogama QS Softgel and Swedish Bitters. Tomorrow promises to be an exciting time out here on Breakfast Show. I want to thank all our listeners for spending their breakfast here with us here on Overt Radio. Feel free to go to our various social media platforms on X, Overt Radio Live on Instagram, Overt News on TikTok, overt.radio.lagos, and also on YouTube, Overt Radio Live. Don't go anywhere. This is Overt Radio. Stay tuned, listeners.